What does it mean to live a successful life? What is success? Anyone? Success. How do you define success? Well, if you looked it up in the dictionary, I don't think the dictionary would say everyone defines it differently. What does the dictionary say? What is success? And not what are the factors. For me, if I have a nice car and I have a nice wife, and then I had a successful life, I'm not asking the factors. How do you define success? Achievement. So that's what most people say. I think that's what the dictionary says. Achieving your goals. If you achieve your goals, you are successful, correct? So if you achieve your goals in life, then you had a successful life, correct? You agree? Well, what if your goal in life is to eat as much pizza as you can and smoke as much weed as you can and just watch every Netflix show and become the best Candy Crush high score ever? You're 90 years old. You're 500 pounds. You never left bed. You watched every program. Did you have a successful life? Who thinks that person had a successful life? One person. Anyone? So some people said, yeah, successful life. So most people in the room are saying, well, no. They achieved their goals, but it's not a successful life. But you say it is, because you're defining successful life is if I achieve my goals and I have a successful life. What if your goals are to beat up old women and steal their money and use it to buy cocaine and party all day? And you're 90 years old, you've beaten up 1 million old women, you've got a mansion, piles of cocaine, and you're partying all day. You say you had a successful life? Okay. Until you grow in spirituality. So you did or you didn't? Okay, so it's not so clear anymore. So I'm going to make it very, very clear. Watch this. Definition of success. Let's define success. A successful business person. How do you define a successful business person? What makes them successful? Is someone who inherits a lot of money. Are they a successful business person? No, they have a lot of money, but they didn't make it. Someone who sells hundreds of cars, but doesn't make any money. Are they a successful business person? No. Someone who sells hundreds of cars and makes lots of money, are they a successful business person? Yes. Because the purpose of the business is to make money doing the business. So to the extent that you achieve the purpose of the business, you are a successful business person. Who here would like to have a successful marriage? Great, so come to my class at 6 o'clock, by the way. But how do you define that? What makes a marriage successful? To the extent that you achieve the purpose of the marriage, it was a successful marriage. And the purpose of marriage is emotional intimacy and love and respect and connection. So to the extent that you reached that, you had a successful marriage. Successful sports person. How do you define a successful sports person? To the extent that you achieve the purpose of the sport, you're a successful sports person. Has anyone had an operation ever? Don't tell me. Was it successful? Well, to the extent that you achieve the purpose of the operation, it's a successful operation. So it's very, very clear now. Success in any area is to the extent that you achieve the purpose of that thing, then you had a successful. So very, very simple. Successful life is to the extent you achieve the purpose, you are successful. Successful business, to the extent you achieve the purpose, you are successful. Successful marriage, successful operation, successful sport. Success in any area is to the extent that you achieve the purpose of that thing, correct? Good. So how do you define a successful life? Because if you want to define a success, if you want to have a successful life, you have to have a definition of what that is. So how do you define a successful life? To the extent that you achieve the purpose of life, you had a successful life. What is the purpose of life? Improve yourself and improve the world. Everyone says it. Christians say it, Buddhists say it, Muslims say it, Jews say it, atheists say it. There are other ways to say it, by the way. Be good and do good. Grow. Become the greatest person you can possibly become. Contribute. Help other people. Positively influence the world around you. Self-actualization. Universal actualization. Make the world a better place. Make yourself the greatest person you can possibly become and positively influence the world around you. It's very, very important. Why? Because it's the key to everything in our life. Meaning and fulfillment and love and joy and good relationship. It's the key to vitality and passion. It's the key to everything in our lives. I actually split it up into two things. You got your purpose and your mission. Your purpose is to become the greatest person you can become. And your mission is to help other people. Lots of people come up to me and say, Rabbi, I don't know what's my purpose in life. So your purpose in life is the same for everyone. Self-actualization, become the greatest person you can become. Your mission in life is how are you going to touch the lives of other people? And by the way, you all know this is true. How do you know this is true? Because when people pass away, no one says how many cars they had and how good looking they were, but they say how good they were. how kind they were, how much they helped other people. These are our goal. We want to live a goals-driven life. It means your success isn't dependent on anything. It's not dependent on your body. It's not dependent on how rich you are. It's not dependent on how talented you are, intelligent you are. It's not dependent on how many countries you've been. It's not dependent on anything apart from yourself. The key to living a great life is to be a great person. The greater the person, the greater life you're going to have. And the second one is, as we said, is the key to everything: fulfillment, happiness. Everything you want in life comes around by being a great person. So what makes a person a great person? What makes someone great? Think of someone in your life. Think of one person that you really look up to and you admire. They're a role model in your life, a parent, a teacher. Okay, so if we had more time, I'd go around the whole class and I'd ask everyone to say one person they look up to and they admire. And every single person, whoever you say, your friend, your brother, your father, your teacher, your mother, your grandmother, and then I ask you why. Why do you look up to them? Why do you admire them? Why do you think they're a great person? Every single person is going to say character traits. You're not going to say because they drive a nice car. You're not going to say because they have a nice body. You're going to say because they are kind, they have perseverance, they're there for me, they helped me in some way, they overcame many difficulties in their life. What it means to be a great person is your character traits. Your character traits. And this is amazing. Why do I love this, by the way? Because it's up to you. It's up to you to work on your character traits. So most people, we're chasing things that we think are going to give us happiness and success and all these things in life. Do you think that the richest people in the world are the happiest people in the world? Don't think the richest people in the world are the happiest people in the world. Do you think the most good-looking people in the world are the happiest people in the world? I don't think that. By the way, you can be rich and good-looking and a great person. And go for that. Go for it. But being rich and good-looking isn't tapping into you being a great person. You can do all of that. You can be rich and good-looking and have amazing character traits, so you're a good person, but it's only the character traits that is defining you as a great person. So go for it all, but what are you fighting for? What are you hustling for in your life? Are you hustling for looks and money and success in that terms? It doesn't even bring happiness. Success, the real success in fixing your character trait, that's going to actually bring happiness. Very, very important rule, and we'll probably go over this a few times today, our attitude to personal growth. Our attitude to everything we're talking about today has to be one of playful, excited adventure. If you want to live a meaningful life, you have to do meaningful things. So what makes something meaningful? Because you enjoy it. That makes it meaningful? No, there's lots of things that are really bad for us and not healthy, and we enjoy them a lot. Doesn't make them meaningful. If it's taking you towards your purpose, then it's meaningful. To the extent it taps you into the purpose, it's meaningful. So once again, if I want to win the gold medal in the Olympic Games, getting wasted with my friends, it's not meaningful. It's not taking me to where I want to go. Whereas training hard and eating the right things, these things are meaningful. Very clear, these are the steps to get to where you want to go. They're making you a better person. They're helping the world around you. There are some things that aren't doing that, so I'd call them meaningless, but they're kind of neutral. Watching TV, social media, whatever it is, it's not getting you towards your purpose. When something's meaningless, sometimes we need to do it because we need to chill out, in which case it becomes meaningful because it's part of our process. But once you start investing in that too much, you're spending all your time video games and partying and these things that aren't making you a better person, then it starts taking you away from your goal. Then, by the way, there are some things that I call anti-meaning. It's not taking you anywhere near your purpose. It's making you a worse person. It's making you more jealous and more lazy and more angry, and it's hurting other people. So now we have an excellent definition. If it's not improving yourself, improving the world, it's basically meaningless. If we want to live a successful life, then we have to start doing things that are going to get us there. What percentage of your day is spent on meaningful things? What percentage of your day is spent consciously trying to become a nicer, better, happier person? If we want to live a successful life, and we've identified what success means, it means reaching the purpose, and the purpose is to be loving and kind and wonderful and passionate and inspired and inspiring, then we have to start doing things that are going to get us there. Very simple. Start investing your time. Now I want you to think now, what percentage of your day is spent on meaningful things? What percentage of your day is spent consciously trying to become a nicer, better, happier person? What percentage of your day is spent volunteering with other people and helping them and sitting with them and donating and finding some passion, some mission? How can I be there for other people? Once your life is focused on achieving your goal, you're a shark, not a jellyfish, then you're going to make sure that you're going to spend as much of your time as you can doing things that are going to take you towards your goal. And the more time you spend doing things that are going to take you towards your goal, the more obviously you're going to reach that goal. Amazing. It's amazing. Once again, just to reiterate, if your goal is to become the greatest person you can become, then you're going to have the greatest life you can have. Because the greater the person, the greater the life, the more happiness and success and vitality you're going to have in your life. So now we know what success means. Success means reaching your purpose. And now we know what your purpose is. Your purpose is to become the greatest person you could possibly become. And now we know what it means to be great. It's your character traits, how loving and kind and wonderful and amazing you are, and how much you're impacting the world around you in a positive way. And now we know that in order to achieve that, you have to live a meaningful life. And a meaningful life means you're investing in these things. So all you have to do is the third step. Do we remember the third step? The first step was identify the goal. The second step was identify the steps you need to take in order to achieve the goals. The third step was do those things. Do those things. Live up to your values. Live up to your values. Live in line with your values. Now, what do you value more? Being good or looking good? So everyone's like, well, being good. Okay, so what do you spend more time on? Your hair and your makeup and saying the right thing and being cool and your clothes, or consciously working on letting go of your anger and impatience and hatred? And what do you value more? Your friends or your family? My family. Okay, so who do you spend more time with? Who do you call more often? How often are you calling your mum? Say I love you. So what we have to do is we might have the right values. The right values are grow and contribute, improve myself and improve the world. But then we have to live up to those values. We've got to make sure that we're actually investing in those. So why is it that we often don't? Why is it we often don't do that? How many times have you said to yourself, I really should do this, and you don't do it? I really should get up earlier. I really should exercise more. I really should call my mother more often, and then you don't end up doing it. Why do you keep doing things that you know you shouldn't do? Why do you keep not doing things you know you should do? Why are we living up to our values? It's comfortable. Just easier. This is a very difficult thing for most people to hear. But in order to be a great person, you're going to have to put in effort. It takes effort to live an extraordinary life. You're going to have to do extraordinary things. If you go to the gym and you lift up a pencil, it might feel nice, might be comfortable, but you're not growing. Growth comes through putting in the effort to live up to your values. It's not difficult to sit on the couch and drink beer and watch football, but you're not growing. That's not why your stomach is growing. You're not growing. But to get out of bed in the morning early and go for a run, that takes effort. To spend your money on clothes and stuff like that doesn't necessarily take effort, but to give your money away to other people, to help them, to see their lives better, takes a bit more effort. So the key to living in line with your values is be willing to put in the effort to get it. And willing to put in the effort. And the power, the motivating power behind everything, and it's the key to achieving all of this is, it's called in Hebrew ratzon. Ratzon means desire. Desire. I want it. I really, really want to achieve this. To the extent that you want to achieve it, you'll be willing to put in the effort and make the sacrifices you need in order to achieve that thing. Why do you want everything you want? You want to wear those clothes, you want to go on holiday, you want your football team to win, you want it to be nice weather. You want what you want in life because you believe it's going to give you pleasure. That's why it speaks to you. If this happens, then I'll get pleasure from it, so that's why you want it. So that's why people are saying, well, I'm going to smoke that and eat that and watch that and do that. Why? Because I'm going to get pleasure from it. Do you understand that? Very important. The problem is we're selling out for very superficial, temporary pleasures. Pleasures that don't last that long. I ask many people about this. What's the most pleasurable part of your day? It's sad how many people say getting into bed. At the end of the day, it's amazing. Oh, you know what? It's been a long day. Get into bed. Oh my, you know how that feels. It feels so good. Curling up. It's like, this is the best. That was a tragedy. It's a tragedy of getting into bed. It's the most pleasurable part of your day, the thing you're looking forward. You know what I'm looking forward to most today? Getting into bed. And the most difficult thing for people is getting up in the morning. Someone said to me the other day, you know what, Rabbi, I want to sleep less. How can I sleep less? And I said, love life more. The more you love life, the less you want to sleep. I hate sleeping. If you're driven by pleasure, that's why you do everything you want to do. You have to understand that the greatest pleasure you can get, until we start talking about the spiritual pleasures, the greatest pleasure you can get is improving yourself and improving the world. There's nothing more pleasurable than that. Letting go of all your negativity and tapping into positivity is the most pleasurable thing you can possibly do. So you just got to want it. You got to want it enough to put in the effort to get it. Just don't put a lit cigarette in your mouth ever again. Don't buy it, take it out of your pocket, open the packet, take it out, put it in your fingers, get the light. It takes about 8 stages to smoke. Just don't do one of them. Choose one of them, don't do it. So why can't people give up smoking? If they want to give up smoking, why can't they give up smoking? Because they also want to smoke. It feels good. It feels really nice. Smoking feels nice. So now you've got a clash. You've got this battle of desires. You always do the one you want to do more. So you're craving a cigarette. You're craving a cigarette. I have to have a cigarette. And you got the cigarette. What's going to give you more pleasure? You always do the one that you want to do more because it gives you more pleasure. So what gives you more pleasure, smoking or not? Well, in the moment, smoking gives you a lot more pleasure. By the way, it's a very low level pleasure. Most people's pleasures in life, by the way, are just taking them from minus. I really need a cigarette. I've lost my peace of mind. I'm stressed, I'm anxious, I'm frustrated. And so you're at minus 10, and then you have the cigarette. And you're like, and you come all the way up to 0. You're like, it feels so good. That's so sad. It's like, I stick my finger in your eye, and then I take it out, and you're like, oh wow, amazing. That feels so good. So most people's pleasure, you have a job you don't really like and it's difficult, and you have these difficult relationships, difficult bosses. You get home and you just sit there and you watch Netflix and smoke weed. It's so pleasurable. Why? Because it's just getting you away from the pain. There's a higher level of pleasure than taking away the pain. Most people's pleasures nowadays are just because I'm not having to deal with my pain. But there's a higher level of pleasure, which is improving myself, improving the world, impacting people, impacting myself, becoming a kinder person, nicer person. That's a much higher level of pleasure. In fact, we're going to talk about this in the next session. Let's say that cigarette. You want to have a cigarette or get out of bed in the morning. The alarm goes, I want to go for a run. What's going to give you more pleasure? Stay in bed or go for a run? In the moment, stay in bed, definitely. To get out of bed, in fact, is going to give you pain. It's going to be hard. Oh God, it's so cold, isn't it? But once you get your shorts on and you go and you get into the park, and there's no one else there because it's very early in the morning, you start running in the crisp air and you start feeling, wow, this is a much higher level of pleasure. It's a much higher quality pleasure. And then you come home and then you have a smoothie and then you meditate. If you turn over, go back to sleep, wake up at 10:30 and smoke some weed, and it's not actually giving you pleasure. It's not giving you greatness. And the greatest pleasure, we're going to talk about this later, is the pleasure of self-respect. I lived up to my values. I became a greater person. I touched other people's lives. That's the real pleasure. So you can be driven by this pleasure, but just don't sell out for these temporary pleasures. Netflix and weed and pizza and stuff like that, that will never give you a great life. It will never give you true happiness. Even if you smoke the weed first, that's not going to give you a great life, because a great life isn't temporary pleasures, meaningless temporary selfish pleasures. A great life is becoming the greatest person you become. By the way, this is a very important rule in life. If it doesn't work, don't do it. If it doesn't work, don't do it. So people look at me and say, wow, Rabbi, you're crazy. Why would anyone do something that doesn't work? And I say, we're doing that all the time. You're sitting in a traffic jam on your way to work or on your way to a wedding. You're stuck in a traffic jam. You're getting very frustrated. Very frustrated. Why is it not there? Is that working? Is that helping? Is that serving any purpose? Is it making the traffic move? Is it bringing the bus? Is it making you feel good? If it doesn't work, don't do it. You take an exam on Monday, or you have a medical test on Monday, and the results are coming out a week later. Do you spend all week worrying about the results? Well, how's that working? It's not changing the results. It's not making you feel good. It's just not working. If it doesn't work, don't do it. And I understand it's easier said than done. We got classes, we're going to talk about that. How do we deal with frustration and worry and anger and doubt and all these things. But the first thing to do is realize it's not working. Just realize things in your life, mental patterns, behavior patterns that aren't getting you to where you want to go. It's exactly this class. It's not taking you to where you want to go. I gave a class, we'll finish with this. I gave a class to 60 to 70-year-old couples from somewhere in America, and I had to give them a relationships class to these couples. So they sat down and they already looked at me and they were like, Rabbi, what did you do? And I said, so in relationships, if it doesn't work, don't do it. And they're like, what? If it doesn't work, don't do it. And they were like, well, why would anyone do something that doesn't work? So I said to them, well, do you ever argue? So they said, well, everyone argues. And I said, well, does it work? Does it create emotional intimacy? Does it create love and respect and connection? And they're like, no. I said, so well, if it doesn't work, don't do it. Okay? We're going to be talking about relationships later, how to have good, healthy relationships. But the number one thing that doesn't work, the most toxic thing in your life that completely doesn't work and harms you immensely is putting yourself down. What's wrong with me? I'm such an idiot. Why did I do that? What do people think about me? It's so toxic. In fact, your life in general and the quality of your life is very much determined by how you speak to yourself and what you think of yourself. It's all about self-worth, self-esteem, self-love. How do we get this? Because it's probably the most important thing in your life.